Like Tucker Carlson, we're furious that M&Ms and their physical representations are no longer as sexy because of progressivism. But is this story being used to distract us from more nefarious activities at the heart of the candy industry? Hello there, you 4.7 million awakening souls. By now it may even be 4.8 million of you. What a journey we're on together. And part of that journey, of course, is looking at the nature of reality, the symbols of reality, the way that news is reported, and reality as we receive it and understand it. Let's try to be compassionate, awakened, and never lose our sense of humour. Now, what's in the paper? Mars Inc., the company that owns the world-renowned M&M candies, announced on Thursday that it was changing the look of its famous characters as part of its global commitment to creating a world where everyone feels they belong and society is inclusive. Now, me personally, I agree with those goals. Everyone feels they belong and society is inclusive. I've got no issue with anything there. But do you sometimes feel that these ideas are used for cynical marketing reasons? Like, it's just some sweets, isn't it? It's just some candy. And listen to this now. M&Ms has long been committed to creating colourful fun for all. The idea that M&Ms are committed to anything other than just being a bit of chocolate in a sort of a shell made of sugar, there shouldn't be a philosophical or ideological, certainly not ontological, component to that. Who better to commit to a world with more moments of fun by increasing a sense of belonging around the globe than M&Ms? Well, probably people with a great deal of corporate and political power. Maybe you want to talk to Bill Gates rather than some sweets. Studies show our desire to belong is as strong as our desire to be loved. And that desire is common for all people, irrespective of culture, race, ethnicity, geography or location. Well, of course that's true. That's obviously true. What's abhorrent is using this desire to belong and be loved as a way to sell people sweets and then to try to add on top of that you're doing it because you want people to feel loved and they belong. It's well worth seeing what Tucker Carlson does with this story because obviously it's pretty funny.
Bet you didn't think M&Ms were pushing intolerance, but they were. They've been changed. You're seeing the changes right now on your screen.
Just to let you know, we've been doing this a long time. It used to be Bill O'Reilly. It used to be Glenn Beck. It used to be Sean Hannity. I'm at the point now where I appreciate people, even if I completely disagree with them on a variety of subjects. And frankly, these days, I find that there are many things that I agree with from people all over the political and ideological spectrum. So with Tucker Carlson, this is neither an endorsement or a condemnation. This is simply enjoyment of his reaction and take.
The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots.
They weren't sexy boots, I didn't think. They were boots. An M&M is not a sexy thing, and if it is, that's some interesting practices you've gotten involved in.
Now she's wearing sensible sneakers. Why the change? Well, according to M&Ms, quote, we all win when we see more women in leading roles, because leading women do not wear sexy boots.
It's curious, isn't it? Because what M&Ms is doing is like obviously a cynical ploy to utilise current social trends in order to gain media attention and marketing affection. But Tucker also seems to have really strong views on the shoes that the M&Ms are wearing.
Leading women wear frumpy shoes.
Those are frumpy. You don't come round here as an M&M dressed up in that frump. I'm not eating that one. Where's the old M&M? Ah, good.
The frumpier the better. That's the rule. The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy.
Like the actual sexiness of the M&Ms is not the issue here. The issue is that we are engaging with a level of trivia and minutiae that is an insult to God.
M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing.
I don't think we want sexy cartoon characters of any gender, do we? That's not the aim. Get sexy cartoon characters. I mean, that's the wrong direction.
Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them.
I don't want to have a drink with any of them anyway. Maybe Homer. Generally speaking, none.
That's the goal. When you're totally turned off...
Hold on a minute. Like, this is a really interesting take, isn't it? Because my feeling about the M&Ms is, oh, this is a cynical marketing exploitation. What a daft ploy. Not, oi, I like them M&Ms the way they want. Put them back. Put that one in a dress, and I want that one to get a bit of lipstick on.
Meanwhile, in a nod to the burgeoning wellness movement, the orange M&M will, quote, acknowledge and embrace his anxiety And actually, if you look at him, the orange M&M does appear very anxious.
He does, Tucker, actually, doesn't he? He's gone all anxious, that orange M&M. I think attributing this level of psychological complexity to M&Ms and like anthropomorphizing them to the point where you're worried that they're not sexy enough is a concern almost equal to the madness of Mars Wrigley Incorporated trying to use them to, you know, create conversation, which obviously it's successfully doing.
Maybe he doesn't like all the ugly new shoes he sees around him.
I don't think that's his problem.
Maybe he liked the sexy boots.
I think one of the things that's amazing about Tucker Carlson and perhaps his incredible success as a broadcaster and connector is that he seems to be able to have a powerful emotional reaction to almost anything. There's things when I see Tucker talking about big tech, corporations, government intrusion, where I think, yeah, man, this guy communicates well and I agree with him. And he's talking about M&Ms, I think, Tucker, we can let go of this one. We'll let this one slide. To tell the truth, I think it's admirable that M&Ms are doing their best to create a fairer society through the medium of little colourful sweeties. But I hope elsewhere in their business model, M&Ms are consistent with this ideology throughout their manufacturing process and certainly aren't doing anything shady in poor countries. Let's see what else is going on. 8 children who claimed... Oh no, listen to this. 8 children who claimed they were used as slave labour on cocoa plantations in the Ivory Coast have launched legal action against the world's biggest chocolate companies, including Mars. Oh, well, they said they wanted to be inclusive. Mars, Nestle and Hershey. They accuse the corporations of aiding and abetting the illegal enslavement of thousands of children on cocoa farms in their supply chains. Now, the enslavement of child labour, that is a real and significant thing. Instead of spending time making the orange M&M look anxious and putting nice shoes on him or whatever, how about ensuring that they don't use slave labour in the processing of the cocoa beans that goes into their thing. So the reason is, of course, because they only care about the generation of money, and you can generate money and profit through doing these kind of campaigns, and you diminish profit if you don't have children working for you for nothing. We live in a world where the symbols are more important than reality. We're invited to spend our time sort of gazing at the mandala of like inclusive and diverse M&Ms, which of course is a good thing if that's the criteria. Do you want people of all different identities to feel included? Yes, of course. I love everyone. I love my children. I'm open to all ideas. Who cares? Make people feel loved and accepted. No problem with that. But if, of course, that's being used to veil other practices, not in a direct way, but in an indirect way, because it's literally the same company, it's the same industry, and for the same reason. Money, 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 money. It's the same thing. The production of cocoa in West Africa has long been linked to human rights abuses, structural poverty, low pay and child labour. If you look at it historically, it's imperialism, colonisation and slavery. That's part of that industry. And what happens, I think, and tell me what you feel in the comments below, because I'm more interested in what you think than what I think, because I know what I think already, is that they highlight and emphasise and amplify these narratives precisely to conceal those ones. Much better to talk about using the right language and having the right symbols than to address the fact that your economic model is still dependent on the very ideas that you're reportedly opposing in lavish campaigns. Meanwhile, continuing, like, don't have child slaves. Rule 1, almost. That actually is rule 1. That's more important than is the chocolate nice, or has anyone stuck it up their bum before you sold it? All right, someone stuck this up their bum before you sold it to me. Yeah, but we got rid of those child slaves. All right then. I feel weird eating this. The lawsuit also accuses the companies of actively misleading the public as promising to phase out some child labour. Yeah, we'll phase out. Don't have child labour. Don't have it. Unless you think that child labour's all right, then we'll have that conversation. No, there's nothing wrong with child labour. Give them something to do. Oh, okay. Well, are we going to have a little child labour M&M? Hello, I'm the little child labourer M&M. Get some sexier shoes on. Phase out some child labour, the worst forms in the protocols. We'll get rid of the worst forms of child labour, but some of them better forms of child labour, we're keeping them. The original deadline for achieving certain standards was 2005. My God. They've spent that time writing up that manifesto for M&Ms that sounds like it's from a revolutionary force that are trying to take government rather than some sweeties. Meanwhile, it's taken them 15 years to phase out the worst forms of child labour. Like, if I was doing child labour now and someone said, stop it, that'd be the end of it. I wouldn't do any more child labour. Like, I wouldn't say, talk to you again in 15 years. I've got an advertising campaign to run. It's quite nuanced. In 2010, a follow-up framework of action for Ivory Coast and Ghana spoke of aiming for significant reduction in the worst forms by 2020. Because obviously, Ivory Coast and Ghana are clearly tied up with Mars Inc. because cocoa production, I imagine, is pretty significant to their economy, and therefore they can't even serve their own populations because of the tyranny of a corporation like Mars, who are spending their time dressing up, quite literally, M&Ms to distract you from the reality of their business model, when in fact, none of us actually bloody even need M&Ms at all. Full stop. They're a waste of time. I mean, full stop. That'd be a good use for one of them M&Ms. A period. Beep. In the legal claim, all 8 plaintiffs describe being recruited in Mali through trickery and deception. That's a good employment method. We'll be using not only trickery, but deception in order, wait for it, to employ, child, steady, I've not finished, slaves, before being tracked across the border to cocoa farms in Ivory Coast. There they were forced to work, often for several years or more, with no pay, that's slavery, no travel documents, slavery, and no clear idea of where they were or how to get back to their families. Well, that's an unimaginable hell. If you, for a moment, even tried to conceptualise, in the same way that we're now being invited to conceptualise an orange or a green M&M, a human being being taken from their family and doing that. Now, obviously, what Mars will say is, 1, these are our allegations that have not been proved. 2, there are all sorts of secondary subcommittees and agencies that keep a nice legal distance between Mars Incorporated and that kind of activity. Oh, it weren't us, we employed these people, it's nothing to do with us. No real person at Mars is ever going to go, yeah, sorry, that was my fault. But the fact is, you could stop that tomorrow if you wanted to. Look at what happens around this coronavirus pandemic. No one goes outside anymore. Okay. No one uses child slaves anymore. Can we have 20 years, please? The case documentation maintains that the defendants are responsible for developing the entire cocoa production system of the Ivory Coast. As key participants in this venture, it is claimed that they either knew or should have known about the systematic use of child labour. I'd say so. Nestlé said that the lawsuit does not advance the shared goal of ending child labour in the cocoa industry, and added, Nestlé has explicit policies against it and is unwavering in our dedication to end it. Unwavering? Well, like, bloody hell, you're pretty good at selling chocolate bars. Put some of that effort into ending child labour. We'll be rid of it in an hour. A Mars spokesperson said, we don't comment on any possible pending litigation. Very wise. A spokesman for Hershey said, Hershey does not tolerate child or forced labour in our supply chain. These human rights violations have no place in the global cocoa industry and we're committed to ending it. Well, let's look forward to that ending very rapidly then. So there you have it. An interesting story about some social ideals that I undoubtedly and powerfully support, coupled with stories about economic corruption, deception and trickery that, whilst not yet legally proven, does seem to align with the kind of practices of profit-driven organisations. What do you think is more important? Let me know in the comments below if you think the culture war is used to create division, conflagration and conflict between ordinary people who basically have the same interest. If you have an open heart to all people of all races, if you think that corporations are exploiting us and using this as a distraction. What do you feel? Let me know. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Subscribe. Join the army. Join the revolution. Join the awakening. Pass this video around. Tag somebody that you know and care about so we can keep this conversation moving. And here's an idea. End child slavery. That would be a goal, wouldn't it? If you enjoyed this video, have a look at this one. It's equally good. Or this one. It's a right little cracker. And please sign up for my mailing list. I'll tell you about my live shows I'm doing all over the north of England in April and May. Come see me. But most importantly of all, unlike the children that allegedly make those products, stay free.